here we are with another episode of Writers and Writing. And today we have Rehana Munir, our very special author guest. Just to let you know a little bit about Paper Moon, which you might have all come across already. Paper Moon was Rehana's debut novel. And in a very short introduction of that novel would be it's a bright, frothy, and fun peek into the business of books and the triangular love life of the main protagonist, Fiza. It's set in Bombay. And on to Rehana now. Before we take the conversation forward, Rehana, you want to say something?
Hi, Shabnam. Thanks for having me. And yes, the book is all the things that you said. It's making me smile now because it's it was released late in 2019, but it's been quite a year for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's now when I think of the book and the time that it kind of explores, it makes me smile. It's such a gentler, milder world.
We have the 5 warm-up questions, Rehana. I'm going over to those in rapid succession. Where are you now, physically and mentally?
I am physically in a very dark room, as you can see. Mentally, I'm all here, thankfully. It's been tough for writers. I don't know about other writers, actually. The pandemic has been, the lockdown has operated even in my mind, so to speak. I started my second novel and I had made some headway. But because of the lockdown, I think there was some kind of, I think, universal, how should I put it, inertia. And it really got me. And for around 6 or 7 months, I think it was difficult to write. But now I'm happy to report that it's back. And with at least the situation where I am personally and in Bombay, there seems to be some kind of fleeting sense of freedom. I'm saying it's fleeting because we all know it's all about the news from that particular day. But I think I'm in a good place as far as the writing is concerned. I'm happy about that. I'm privileged in the sense that I don't have the kind of responsibilities or living situation that allows me more freedom than most people. So it's a better place as a reader and a writer right now.
That's really heartening to know. If I were to ask you why writing, I'm sure you would have been asked this question before as well, but just, to get a recap of that.
I think it started off by being a thing that I like. Of course, I like doing it, so I do it. It's also something I studied English in college. I ran a bookshop for some time. And I think it was very clear to me that is the one skill I might have. It's by elimination. There's nothing else that jumped up or jumped out at me after I finished college and university. And the first few jobs I was offered, I think it was not a concerted or a very conscious thing, but it was very obvious nonetheless. I knew very early in life that a life in books, and as a reader, I think I don't know if I could call myself a serious reader, but I know that it was a big part of my life from the very beginning. So writing just kind of, the reading segged into writing. I was lucky that things came my way. And now having been an independent writer for a fair number of years, I can, I think, give you a more thorough answer. I don't know if we have the space for it here.
Please.
But writing is, it's just a beautiful, how should I put it? It is all those things that people keep talking about. It's self-discovery, it's therapy. But to me, more than anything, it's a sense of play. I keep saying this, especially when you're writing a novel, when you're writing fiction. I enjoy the sense of freedom and the possibility to play on the page. It's what Arundhati Roy in her collection of essays called Azadi. There is the Azadi to be what you want to be, do what you want to do, which non-fiction, of course, it can be very liberating too. But I think this is one of the novel's great privileges, that you can go where you want with it. So I think freedom is why why I choose writing, or it chooses me. I don't know. But yes, the rewards are many, and the challenges are very obvious too.
Moving on from, like why writing in general to writing Paper Moon, you said that, you used to own a bookstore before, and you've been around books, and as you said, like it's part of your life. So you waited some time before you actually got down to writing Paper Moon, or was it like just that point of time which was the time to write it?
Actually, I did run the bookshop. It was owned by a very close friend of my father's. So I was, in real life, I didn't own it. I simply ran it.
Okay.
Of course, I was very young then. I was not even 24 when I got the opportunity to run. It was called the Reader's Shop.
Okay.
And I always disliked the name, I had jaundice. I was in hospital when a rubber stamp needed to be made. And, it's all about rubber stamps when you're running a business, no? It's all about some kind of official document or some kind of stationery. So, somebody called me and said, oh, Rehana, we're going now and we have to go get this stamp and you have to give us a name. So I think I thought of Reader's Shop. And then something struck me, for many years it rankled. Why did I name that bookshop Reader's Shop? So when finally the opportunity presented itself to write a novel, I think, again, I was privileged in the sense that the theme jumped out at me. I had written a column, I had written a piece for, I think, GQ magazine, GQ India, where I had written about my experience running a bookshop. And I think then when the opportunity for the chance to write a novel came up, I felt, why not expand on that piece? So it was, again, quite an organic, quite a kind of seamless transition. And PaperMoon, I keep telling, and my friends who are writers, hate me for saying this, but it pretty much wrote itself in the sense that it was the first timers. You can call it luck, or you can call it, whatever. It did pretty, and I can now compare it with the second book I'm writing. And it's a very different process. It seems like a process now. It didn't for my first book.
Now you wrote PaperMoon, it came out, reviews and reader responses, warm ones, glowing ones. Is there any that sort of has struck, something that still is with you in terms of a review, whether it was a reader's response or something like you just came across in a magazine or a paper even,
Yeah.
something that stays with you still?
Yeah, I think, again, Shabnam, because of the year that we had collectively, we comfort and joy and solace came from very unexpected quarters. In my case, it was through Instagrammers. I only joined Instagram because PaperMoon was going to release very opportunistically.
Yeah.
I created that account. Of course, now I use it like I would use Facebook. But I went there because I thought it's the prudence, the wise thing to do. Everyone should have a presence if you're releasing a book. But
Yeah.
I must say that I'm so pleasantly surprised. You have this image of Insta being this perfect filtered world where people are doing these very unimaginably glamorous things. But in my case, I got to hear from people, largely women readers, largely younger women and their mothers, because the protagonists are, again, mother-daughter sort of. And the two responses really jump out at me right now that you asked me this question. One was from a reader who said she passed on the book to someone who had just gone through a very major loss in her life. She had lost her partner. And she's saying that PaperMoon was able to provide some kind of solace at that time.
Wow.
And it really, touched me because it was a book that is warm. It is simple, hopefully not simplistic. So that was one response. A friend gave it to another friend, someone I don't know, gave it to a friend, and at a time that was very difficult for her personally. And it helped her tide through those difficult weeks. That's one. And the second one was someone who's a professor who teaches, who has, I think she does a course in popular culture and fiction. And she said she's going to be teaching my book because she finds it to be a very good example of, again, popular culture and popular fiction that, or what is called genre fiction, quite pejoratively sometimes.
Yeah.
But she's saying, done well, it is something worth looking at, and it's something that young students of literature would do well to examine closely, because sometimes everyone starts off wanting to be James Joyce and Virginia Woolf, and there's a place for that, but there's a place for so many other things, and I especially feel in Indian literary fiction there's a gap for, as I said before, accessible and good writing.
Yeah.
So these two responses, I think, jump out.
And also foreground the fact that PaperMoon is a wholesome novel. That's how I would, if there's one adjective I have to ascribe to it, it's warm and it's wholesome. It's something you can curl up with or read on a trip that you're going to and feel good at the end of it. I think we've had enough of morbid, even on screen or in books.
I think so. And I wrote it at a time when I myself was sort of coming out of a phase that was quite dark. And I surprised myself by writing something that was the opposite of that.
Fury and warm.
it was something that I myself was pleasantly surprised by, and that's what readers have also sort of echoed.
If I were to ask you to, talk about Indian writers, whether old or contemporary, even like, writers as that, although I know that you want to commence with your regional language
Yeah,
reading list this year mostly,
yeah,
but
yeah.
anything from that list, even like, that comes to your mind.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think the last great book I read in translation was Ghachar Ghochar by Vivek Shanbag and translated by Srinath Peru. Oh my God, it was mind blowing. And it's sort of like a novella. It's short, but it is just at so many levels. It moves you, it compels, it does all the things that good literature should do, I think. Same, I think, can be said about the book Cobalt Blue by Sachin Kundalkar, translated by Jerry Pinto. So that's Marathi to this to English. Ghachar Ghochar, of course, was Kannada to English. Uh, it's just mind blowing, and I feel very limited because, again, as a student of English literature, you tend to read works in translation that are not from Indian languages largely. You veer towards, like, I'm reading so many Spanish writers, but I think at some point one needs to stop distinguishing and just kind of swallow up as much as possible rather than saying, oh, now I'll read a feminist British woman and then I will read a, South Indian man. Because we sometimes, when you're trying to be a good reader, you create these lists. Um, I think another alternative is just to take up, to widen your range of influences, whether it's through, episodes like we're doing right now, these sessions, or through Instagram, or through what you read, but being a little more vast in one's range. That's again another resolution for me. But yeah,
Absolutely.
apart from that, there's the usual. There's Vikram Seth has been a very old favorite. I love Golden Gate. I love his poetry. Arundhati Roy, of course. When I first read God of Small Things, it blew my mind. Her subsequent non-fiction writing. Uh, there's Amitav Ghosh, and it's all these writers who've kind of laid so many foundations.
Luminaries. Yes.
Yes,
So thank you so much. All your answers were so lovely to this
very good.
particular episode.
It was great fun.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.